Welcome to Big Blend Radio, where we celebrate variety and how it adds spice to quality of life. Hey everybody, Nancy and I are back at our friend's place, which is the Lion and the Rose Bed and Breakfast Inn, which is in the Montford Historic District in Asheville, North Carolina. And we just couldn't leave North Carolina and drive across to Tucson without coming to see you. A little hurricane said, "You're not driving yet." And then we thought, "Steve, Karen, we're coming to see you." And they're like, "Good, come.
Lucky you.
Come on." No, it's been awesome fun. It's been awesome fun. So we recorded our August episode of Adventures in Asheville with you, which we do every first Tuesday of the month. And now here we are doing one that's going to air tomorrow. So, that's it. I think this is perfect timing, right?
Yeah. Spontaneous fun.
Mm-hmm. Spontaneous fun. So last night we sat up and discovered that there are a lot of women involved in the history of conservation and environmental work in Asheville and Western North Carolina. Yep. And we thought, well, it's National Parks and Rec Month, National Forest Week that goes from July 8th through 14th. So we're on time with this podcast because this is the birthplace of U.S. forestry. Yep. The American Forest Service was birthed here in Asheville thanks to the Vanderbilts and the Biltmore Mansion and Olmsted. That's a whole story. Yeah. So today's podcast, we're going to dedicate this to the women of the rivers and forests of Asheville and Western North Carolina. So Parks and Rec Month is kind of looking at parks that are maybe urban or not. But when we look at urban parks, they are crucial to the health of a community, the well-being of nature, often preserving the history and the stories of the cultures of a community, and often have art. And I think you have all of that here
We do.
in these stories today. So the first thing we did was we went downtown to the River Arts District, right? So we're going to talk about 4 different stories. We're going to keep it brief because we're not the historians, but we're going to tell you our experience and a little background story of these ladies' stories. And then we're going to follow up this podcast with some in-depth conversations, and we're going to call some historians because these women rock, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the River Arts District a little bit and where that is it kind of downtown Asheville
or
not?
A little bit outside downtown. It's in the city limits. It's about over 200 artists down there. So anything and everything you can find. Painters, potters, jewelry makers.
Oh, cool.
Has it all.
Nice.
Over a few miles on each side of the river. Nice area that they've cleaned up, and then they've added the Greenway and the River Walk and all those other parks. Yeah,
so
very cool.
The Greenway that you're talking about, and this leads to our First Lady, Wilma Dykeman Greenway. Wilma Dykeman. She's the one. This Greenway is, honoring her because she really started a movement. This is a 17-mile green path connecting the Swannanoa. Did I say that right?
Yes, right. You did.
Swannanoa and the French Broad Rivers. Yeah. So I did a little research on this, and it turns out the French Broad River is believed to be one of the oldest rivers in the world.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
An ancient water trail that has been an inheritance to plants, animals, and humans. And it's been the site of recreations for thousands of years, becoming a floating mess of sewage and pollution by the mid-20th century. And this is when Wilma said, we can't have that.
No.
And so Wilma is the one who said, we're not doing this. And she wrote a book about this. And it's her book that really kind of led this movement of cleaning up the water, but making it a place where, hey, you want to recreate on the river, let's have it be cleaned, right? So the actual Green Path is named after her. She also has a nonprofit that was created by her youth, her grandkids, and children, and so her family, I should say. And you can go to wilmadykmanlegacy.org to learn more about it. I'm going to give you links, everyone, in the episode notes so you can look up the parks. There's all these articles that has way more information than we can spew out, but we're just going to tell you about the experience. Yeah. But she really, Wilma is amazing, and so the link to that nonprofit, which we want to call now because they do all kinds of programs, they do publishing, they have, it's all about the arts. She was really big on the arts and the environment. So this is what was up on a sign when we went to, actually, we went to Jean Webb's park,
Yes.
our next lady. This is what they said. Remarkable women, excuse me. 2 remarkable women have played major roles in restoring the natural beauty and building the facilities you see on the French Broad River today. Wilma Dykeman, who was born in 1920 and passed away in 2006, grew up in Asheville. After completing college in Illinois and marrying poet James Stokely, and you guys have a lot of writers here.
Yes.
She settled back in the area. Over her lifetime, she wrote 16 books, numerous poems, and magazine articles. Her most famous book was The French Broad, published in 1955. It provides a mix of history, legend, biographies, and lifeways of this mountain region. Wilma was an early advocate of RiverLink, supporting cleanups, recreation, and redevelopment on the river. The Wilma Dykeman Riverway acknowledges Wilma's contributions to the region. Her introduction to the French Broad states, dwellers of the French Broad country are learning an ancient lesson in all their natural resources. It is easy to destroy overnight treasures that cannot be replaced in a generation. Easy to destroy in a generation that which cannot be restored in centuries. Mm-hmm. She's a good writer.
Yeah, definitely.
She's got her own Wikipedia page and all. No, she's really amazing. So where we went today, we started off at the Jean Webb Park, and we'll talk a little bit more about her. But this pathway, I mean, we saw this huge map, this 17-mile map that really does follow the rivers, and you are on the map.
We are.
The line in the Rose Bed and Breakfast is on the map.
I don't know why or how.
Well, that's because
we're happy.
it's down the road. You have another park that connects with it, right?
Mm-hmm. We do. Down the road, we have the other Greenway there.
Yep.
We have Montford Park down there. All that stuff definitely is connected.
So a lot of cycling. Do you think out here people?
Sure.
Definitely cycling, walking, jogging. You see a lot of dog walking, dog friendly,
and dog parks. I think there were dog parks where we were today too. And some of the park areas.
100% sure, but yeah, most everything's dog friendly. So yeah,
Nancy wanted to play with dogs. She did.
Oh, yeah, I do.
She did. Well, there was birds. We saw. I mean, we even saw caterpillars and flowers, and we were dodging thunderstorms today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was good. But on the riverfront, to me, that's what was amazing. Is you're in an urban setting.
Yes.
You're in this arts district that is like overtaken what industry had, right? You've got old smokestacks and everything.
Old warehouses, industry.
Breweries, right? New Belgian Brewery.
Yeah, there's some breweries there,
Yeah.
So you could go to a brewery and then just get right on the water. Like literally.
Yes.
There were, where we were, people were just putting their kayaks and their rafts.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, several launch points.
And you said there's fishing too? People are fishing?
Yeah, people will fish in there,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So speaking of fish, there is this giant fish sculpture that we saw today. And a pond. Did you like the pond, Nancy?
Yeah, of course.
With all the frogs? You
That
had the
was
frogs?
awesome.
Do you think there
because
were
it was-
toads or frogs?
There's probably both, but the toads are not going to be as close to the water as frogs.
What do you think?
I don't know, from the sounds of it, it's probably just there's at least making noise with the gray tree frogs because they've been making noise all around town, and we do have a lot of those. But I'm sure there's bullfrogs at times and spring peepers.
I would guess that too.
Yeah, and probably the toads usually come out more towards the end of summer. You'll start hearing them trilling out in the around water, and then you'll find them playing around the water in groups and doing their thing.
That's what was amazing today. I mean, just to be in this urban setting, and there's frogs, there's lily pads, and bulrushes, and people rafting down the river, and it's like, and there's a brewery over there, which you are, Beer City, USA, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's a public art, which seems to go really hand in hand with these community parks or urban parks and greenways, which keeps it interesting. And we looked at this big fish. We're like, "This is a big fish. What's going on?" Well, this is a sign. The sculpture is created by David Earl Tomlinson, an Asheville artist, and it contains. So it's filled. This big thing is the sculpture contains trash collected by volunteers. Over 60 tons of trash are collected each year from Asheville streams.
Insane.
So this is all collected, and it's through a nonprofit organization, Greenworks Trash Trout Program. And so they're doing this, and they tell you how when you get on the water, keep your trash secured in a bag, because we have dry bags and all of that. And then if you see people dump stuff in the river, call them. Yeah. So everyone, I'm going to put their link, AshevilleGreenworks.org is the website, but I'll put that link out there. But see, these are the things that I think the art impact has something. What do you guys think about that living here? The impact of art and the environment and nature.
I think they kind of just work off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, I do think they go together.
Yeah, you've done that all your life, Nancy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, being an artist, you know.
But then I concentrated on paintings of nature and animals and wildlife for a reason, because I wanted to take the trash out.
Yeah.
As an artist, I could do that, and I can put things where I want them. And, this is what it should and could be, and then here's what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Just to remind people that there's a consequence to everything that we do.
Right.
And it does come back to haunt you. For example, if you throw your trash in a river or a stream or a lake, and then you spend $1,000 or so to go take your family to the coast for, let's go to the beach for the holiday, welcome to your trash.
Yeah.
It just followed you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very true.
So this is what Wilma started, which I think is pretty amazing. We were at Webb Park, which is one of the parks, and it is right at the River Arts District. Mm-hmm. And she served as executive director of Quality Forward from 1978 to 1983. And everyone, this is, I'm reading this off of the city website. Again, that link is also on the website. Through these critical years, she set up a river rebound guided by her love of the French Broad, and a hope that it could be the clean center for vibrant Asheville. So that she felt like the city builds up around the river, we keep the river clean. Yeah. She was the president of French Broad River Foundation, and she helped to organize Riverfest to support its mission, and worked with the city of Asheville and Buncombe County. Did I say it as Buncombe?
Buncombe.
Oh, Buncombe.
Buncombe.
Okay, Buncombe. Okay. Leaders to develop safe access to the river, and also organize stream watch groups to monitor pollution. All these efforts were basically made what is now RiverLink, that is connecting the river. Mm-hmm. As being in the hospitality industry, how important is this to you, that river is clean for your guests and for tourism?
It should be clean for everyone, not just our guests, just everyone. I agree with everything. I mean, if we don't protect the natural resources, what kind of life do we live?
Yeah.
We need it.
Guests wanting to get out there, and they do the tube floats down the river on just a relaxing little float, and good 3 hours of your day. Getting some sun and having a few cocktails or beverages on
at the end. Like there's a winery. You told Nancy, if you walk a few more steps, we could have a winery.
And people do the tubing, and then they end their day at a brewery or something.
They'll run an extra tube to put their ice chest on top of, and tie their tubes together and just have a fun old time.
Well, I'll say we went to a couple parks along the Green Pathway, and one thing I loved is that they have a pollinator garden, especially at Webb Park has a beautiful pollinator garden, and that's where we saw caterpillars. Well, we saw that's the thing, and so there's art, there's rest areas, there's lawn spaces. So as we get into this world, I mean, in the Northeast, you guys don't have. Are you in the Northeast? You're in the Southeast.
Southeast.
But you're up. But anyway, you're up there. Okay. Anyways, in other areas, we're tearing out lawns and putting in native plants. Like you guys have a certified backyard habitat or wildlife habitat through the National Wildlife Federation.
Right.
Yeah, like everything is lawn mowing and like chemicals and stuff like that. That doesn't help the native species. No. And then water is an issue. If you go out west, it's like tear it up, and then people start putting rocks. Nancy, your favorite thing, gravel as mulch. No, Nancy.
The gravel thing is so bad.
Not good.
It raises the temperature of the ground by 15 degrees.
It's insane.
And during the summer, that's not a good thing because it's killing whatever is underneath, which is usually your native plants.
And also killing, it's actually heating up your house.
Mm-hmm. And if you really want to test it, get in the middle of the summer and take your shoes off and walk on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Walk.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting with these kind of places where they're showing pollinator gardens, but then you could have a lawn space. So if you don't have a lawn, this is a way where your kids and dogs can go and roll around it and have fun, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it's cool for your dogs to walk out there, and have that. Yeah. There was picnic areas too.
Yeah.
Shaded ones and little what I liked is all the little outcroppings where you could go out and look out over the river.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, little steps that you can walk down the river and kick back and watch.
Access.
There's tons of parks and all the signs and all the public art. And so a lot to enjoy and experience. So we've talked about the ladies of the rivers.
Yes.
We're going to go to the forest next. All right, so into the forest we go.
Yay.
All right. So the forest, this is like we were saying, the early beginnings of American forestry started here. And that was with the Biltmores, not with the Biltmores, with the Vanderbilts at the Biltmore Mansion. And that's really kind of an interesting thing because it also brings in Frederick Law Olmsted, who is pretty interesting.
Yes.
So today we went, after we did the Green Parkway, the River Link, and all of that area, we went on the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is National Park Service. And there was an area we went to, the Cradle of Forestry.
Right.
And that is set aside to commemorate the beginning of forest conservation in America and the lasting contributions of George Vanderbilt, Frederick Law Olmsted, Gifford Pinchot. Excuse me, and my pronunciation. I don't know. You can do all you want. And Dr. Carl Schenck. So I'm sorry if we don't pronounce your names correctly. But anyway, what they did was pretty incredible. So we were there today.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're on the overlook anyways over the cradle.
Yeah. It's a beautiful spot, though.
It is, so yeah.
It really is.
It's so green.
Yeah. Everything
And
is so green this time of year.
So many different colors of green. Like
Right.
shades
I agree.
of green.
I agree.
It's
Shades
not
of
all
green.
just green,
No, absolutely.
which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
So what we want to talk about is the Pisgah National Forest. This is where we
Yes.
were. It's a big part of, that's where the National Forest, joins hands with the National Park Service.
Right.
It happens everywhere. Like Sequoia National Park and Kings Canyon National Park are part of Sequoia National Forest and Giant Sequoia National Monument. They're all connected. They're not part of each other, but they're connected.
Right.
And so one day you guys will go there and you'll see. It's very nice. But Pisgah National Forest is amazing. So what happened is that, so the largest home in America, right? This is the Biltmore?
Yes,
so
that
you've
is
been
the
to the Biltmore.
Multiple
I wonder why the name Biltmore. I always thought the Biltmores
Because he
owned it,
couldn't stop building. He kept
but
building
Biltmore. Good one. Good
That's
one.
a good
well
one.
done, Nancy.
Very good one.
She gets 10 points.
Yeah, she gets
Yes,
10 points.
yes,
When
yeah.
you see the mansion, you'd understand what Nancy
I
was
think
saying.
I'll give
It's
her.
true.
I'll give her extra wine at wine
You
time.
just
for
can't
that.
stop.
Yeah, well done. She did good. She got
Very
points.
good.
All right. So can you give everyone a little overview of that experience? Because you can either do the whole mansion tour or the gardens, but Nancy and I have not done it yet. And when we were driving on the parkway, you're like, look, you can see the mansion, and it stands out like I was going to say like a
White
bloody
House.
British castle.
Yeah.
Castle.
It
does,
It's
though,
like
in the
a
middle of the
castle.
forest.
It's like a
massive.
castle or the
It
White
is.
That's
House.
massive. It's
Yeah,
massive.
yeah.
So I mean that's bonkers.
I
Like
know.
when you think like where it was, like it's still massive, but it's still like a dot over there from the parkway.
Right.
They donated their land. So, but let's go to the mansion experience because whew, like I wonder why it's the Biltmore. We're gonna have to do that. That's another story.
I honestly do not remember. I'm guessing that they have told us on the tours, and
Could be the last name
it's a
of the
lot of
builder.
information on those.
Are there
tours.
different
Or the
tours when you go
architect.
there?
There are. The general one will be the audio tour, self-guided, but they do have several behind-the-scenes type of tours where you go with a guide and you dive deeper into the history, see some other parts of the house. There's a rooftop tour, so you can go to the very top of the roof.
Oh, cool.
So there are multiple ways.
And they make wine.
Yes,
Yes,
they
they
do
do.
their own wine, so
Cool.
wine tasting is included.
Nice.
So that's bonus.
On every tour?
Yeah, you can do when you pay for your ticket.
What?
You
What?
get the gardens and you get the winery. Yep,
We missed out.
I know you.
Sure did.
No.
We will take
All right,
you
next time. Next time.
Yeah,
we'll have
we
to
will
do
take
that.
you.
We'll have
Yeah,
to do that. And the
absolutely.
gardens have to be awesome too.
Always. That's our favorite part.
Yeah.
We go back for the gardens more than
Yeah.
the house. Just the gardens are phenomenal.
Yeah.
The way they plant things every few months to have different
Yeah, they have a really
seasonal
nice rose
plants.
garden that we just got. Last time we were there, we got towards the end of the rose blooms there, but there's still plenty of beautiful blooms
Yeah.
there.
Oh,
And then they get the
roses.
sunflowers. I remember you taking
Yeah.
photos.
Sun-
Sunflowers will be in
Mhm.
August. That's beautiful too. So we go back certain times for certain flowers for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I love the arboretum here. The azaleas we always talk about. We've got to get to the azalea garden, but
That's
Olmsted
amazing.
helped with the arboretum.
Yes.
So this is when we
Yes.
talk about forestry and Forest Month. I mean, he was amazing, and they've got a wonderful sculpture of him there. And
Yep.
I mean, he's just he's amazing. What he did, because he wanted everything to work with nature. So he's kind of like Frank Lloyd Wright, but of landscape.
But yeah.
I don't know if he was temperamental like Frank Lloyd Wright. Like Frank Lloyd Wright was kind of like the John McEnroe of architecture in that way. Apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently. But anyway, going to the ladies' story.
Don't tell me that.
Let me say this. In May 1914, Edith Vanderbilt completed her late husband's wishes of selling an 86,000-acre tract of Biltmore to be managed by the U.S. government as public lands, creating one of the first national forests east of the Mississippi River, Pisgah National Forest. So this is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And an excerpt from a letter declaring, and this is from the Biltmore's website, so I'll put that link in too. Boy, we got a lot of links on this
Yeah, I was gonna
podcast.
say,
Oh my
we got-
gosh. Well, and then, like I said, we're going to have to do like in-depth interviews on all of this, because this is just incredible of what, a few hours of joy today
Yep.
created all these stories. Well, we didn't create the stories, but we get to travel through them. So this is an excerpt from a letter declaring her family's interest in preserving the property. Edith stated, Mr. Vanderbilt was one of the first of the large forest owners in America to adopt the practice of forestry. He has conserved Pisgah Forest from the time he bought it up to his death, a period of nearly 25 years, under the firm conviction that every forest owner owes it to those who follow him to hand down his forest properly to them unimpaired by wasteful use. I make this contribution towards the public ownership of Pisgah Forest with the earnest hope that in this way I may help to perpetuate my husband's pioneer work in forest conservation and to ensure the protection and use of enjoyment of Pisgah National Forest as a national forest by the American people for all time.
Very nice.
Now, if you can get the word perpetuate correctly, that's a good letter.
It is a great letter.
That's a good statement.
It is a good statement, and he meant it well.
Now, when you think about how we write
works.
emails now, I feel like, gosh, we need to go back to
I know, we
some
do.
thought and how we write things. But that's pretty amazing. So
But that's a large donation.
Oh, yeah.
So the other one is the Jubilee Memorial Forest. This story is insane. It starts back in the days in the 1930s. The U.S. Forest Service, and there was the Civilian Conservation Corps, and then there's a whole other organization that started the Pennies for Pines program, and it was a way to reforest areas that had been overlogged excessively in the early 20th century. And so a lot of groups purchased trees, a penny a piece. So there were a lot of different nonprofits. I know when we lived in Julian, up in the mountains in San Diego, the Women's Club did Pennies for Pines.
Okay.
And they went through a lot of wildfires like most California.
Yeah.
And they helped to reforest.
Yeah.
So it's so interesting when we think about, I think it was Lincoln who said, oh, I'll still plant an apple tree, even if I'm dying, you still plant a tree.
Yeah.
Was it Martin Luther or him? I don't know.
I don't
Someone talks about
George Washington liked apple trees, not cherry trees.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. One of them said, "I'm still going to plant an apple tree, no matter what."
Well, it's a good
basically.
thing if everybody planted a tree a year, whether it's on your property or somewhere where someone else can care for it. If you can't, it's a good practice.
Well, it's a good thing of like you may think everything is going to hell in a handbasket, but still plant that tree and hope, right?
Yes.
And this is what they did. You think reforestation is what we saw today?
Right.
We went to Devil's Courthouse. So before we get into the story, give us an overview of Devil's Courthouse.
That's a beautiful
It's on the
spot.
Blue Ridge Parkway.
It's
too.
on the
Yep,
Blue Ridge
on the
Parkway.
It's gorgeous.
It's higher elevation, so you start seeing different trees for sure. A lot
Start finding more evergreens.
evergreen, so it's different landscape. It's just very different out there. Different landscape and different flowers and plants. Beautiful views, and it's a good hike.
And there's falcons there.
Yes, supposedly there's some falcons
Yes.
nesting. Last we heard, though, that a lot of them had vacated because of some dummies going down there trying to take selfies with them and
That's
on
so
the rocks
sad.
and harassing
I know.
them. So
Yeah.
supposedly
Don't do
the
that.
falcons
Don't be a
never
dummy.
came back. I don't know if that's true or not, but We've never seen the falcons up there.
We've never seen them up
And
there.
we've been up there several times.
multiple times.
It would be wise if people could stand back. This is why you have cameras and telephoto lenses.
Yes.
So you can close up observe
Right.
if that's what you're after
Right.
without disturbing. That's the whole idea of being a watcher of nature instead of a disturber.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and just to
Definitely.
stand back, and you will find out how much you have missed. If you're a disturber, you don't know anything about nature. You really don't. And it shows in your behavior. If you're a student of nature, you understand how the system works.
Right.
Once you understand nature, you actually understand humanity better.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So where we were standing, there was that huge cliff, right? The
Yeah.
Devil's Courthouse that people can hike up or walk up.
Yeah,
It's
it's
pretty.
a paved trail, and it's just very steep. Not very long, but I highly recommend it if you get a chance to do
Yeah.
it. It's
like-
worth it. You can
It is a
rest
good
along the
hike.
way. There's a few benches along the way, so you
It
can
is a good
catch
hike.
your breath.
Yeah, yeah, but it's beautiful. I mean, what
Oh,
we
yeah.
saw, the clouds moving in and
Yeah.
everything was
Yeah.
gorgeous.
It is. It's a
But
good spot.
across the street from the parking lot is where the Jubilee Memorial Forest lies. And back, this is after, the 1930s program came to be, right? So at that point, there was the North Carolina Daughters, the Daughters of the Revolution, right? So they responded to the call of duty and raised enough funds, and this was in the 40s, to plant 50,000 red spruce trees over a 3-year period
That is so cool.
to cover 50 acres across the parkway from Devil's Courthouse. That's a lot,
That's
right?
really cool.
That's awesome.
So it was dedicated May 15th, 1940 as the Jubilee Memorial Forest, and they had a bronze tablet, and the recognition was short-lived because that marker was misplaced and the war happened. Everything grew over everything. The forest was forgotten, and they went back to task. And a few years ago, the Daughters of the Revolution came back and found it. They did this whole thing. It's at the milepost 422.4, and I'm going to link the article there, but they actually, it's a few minutes walk across the street from the big climb up there. They actually got it back, and now people know where it is. They found about this, it was the Forest History Society, and they found it, and a lady went, and she's really, another lady found it. They said, okay, you're going to go do it. The Daughters of the American Revolution,
cool.
and they rededicated it, and I think it was 2018 or 19, and it is back, and this is kind of new history in a weird way from old history. So isn't that cool?
It
Very
is.
cool.
You have
Love it.
cool forest parks and river history in your backyard.
Yes,
we do.
And we are only scraping the surface.
do.
So I want to apologize to the audience that we're not know-it-alls on this, but we're just finding this and we're excited about it, and we wanted to share it with you and hope you come out and experience it yourself.
Absolutely.
So, and everyone go to lion-rose.com. If you come to Asheville and you don't come stay at the bed and breakfast, well, we'll
bad
be
for
searching
you.
for you. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding you. Searching for you in the
No, they'll
woods.
be missing out.
I'm just kidding. I'm
They'll
just
be
kidding.
missing out.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for taking us around
sure.
today. Oh,
Thank you.
tell everybody about the lilies that we saw today. Before
Oh,
we,
the Turk's cap.
oh, tell them. Oh,
So
these things are
those
beautiful.
are one
One
of
is
the-
starting to bloom.
Those are one of our favorite ones that we go looking for every season. Usually in July, about this time, early to late July, depending on the elevation. But they're beautiful. I'd say upside down, pointing down flowers.
It looks like a daylily
Yeah, it looks like a
that
hat.
curls,
Yeah.
its leaves curl back
There you
up,
go.
like a
Perfect.
tiger lily.
It's supposed
Yeah.
to look like a old Turkish soldier's hat, I guess.
Exactly.
Like a Mongol.
But it's
Oh, I
orange,
can see
bright
that.
orange,
can
beautiful
see that.
spotted.
Yeah.
And we saw a lot. We saw all kinds
saw
of
a lot of
wildflowers.
them.
We saw the beginning of the butterfly season.
Yeah.
Yeah, a few of them coming out.
Yeah, starting
Yeah.
to come out.
What was the one that I saw today that I
It was
photographed?
a great spangled fritillary.
Yeah, fritillary.
Well, there it is.
Spangled.
That's
Yeah.
it. That's
Yeah.
it. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you get to Asheville. Don't forget, we air our podcast every first Tuesday on BigBlendRadio.com with Steve and Karen, where we talk about Asheville adventures. And the next one, we talk all about August holidays, from not picnics, but we did American adventures. We talked about
We talked about
everything
all of that.
you can do in the month of August in Asheville. So enjoy. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio. Keep up with our shows at bigblendradio.com.